What if the answers you've been searching for have been inside you all along? Welcome to Insights with Purpose, the power of inner wisdom. We're Hemali and Sheila, two friends on two continents, having the conversations that bring us closer to the truth of who we are. No scripts, just real talk. Pull up a seat.
Today, we're going somewhere most spiritual podcasts don't go: the loneliness. Not the light and love version, not the gratitude journal version, the real one. The part where your entire life falls apart and you don't even have words for what's happening. Where you're searching for yourself online and can't find your reflection anywhere. Where you want to scream it from the rooftops, but your throat closes up from fear. If you've ever felt like you were on an island with no Wilson and no words, stay with us. By the end, you might find out that the separation was never the punishment, it was the gift.
Hi, Hemali.
Hi, Sheila.
We got here. It took a minute.
Yes,
I think
to
between
get
all of
started.
the technical stuff and the glitching and all of it, I'm also feeling like there's an emotional charge in the air. I don't know if you could pick it up too, and it's super interesting that it feels so ready to like burst open
Mm-hmm.
because and it's a tender topic. So I didn't
Yeah,
think I was gonna feel all this emotionally charged environment as we start to settle into a recording. And I don't even know why it's there, but it's palpable for me. I can tap into the frequency. Do you feel that?
absolutely. And we've both have been there and continue sometimes. And it's like a wave, right? Comes in and goes out. The whole topic of being lonely,
Yeah,
in that space of, ups and downs or just separation from everything. Sometimes it feels like you're separating from yourself too. So there's that loneliness within ourselves.
absolutely. So we wanted to talk about the loneliness of awakening because it's real, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's an experience, like you said, it's like cyclical, a flow. You stay and you go and you come back to the same depth of, am I alone throughout all of this?
Yeah.
And you and I have each other, but
Yeah.
we didn't go through that initial bolt of awakening and our awakening journey together. So
Yeah.
this is going to be a super cool episode because we're going to touch on what that felt like internally for each of us. More so, I really wanted to highlight that this is something that kind of like stays with you and you just kind of navigate as it comes and goes. My awakening started after a near death experience in 2020, and it wasn't just like, here you go, this is your awakening. I didn't
Mhm.
know what was happening. I didn't know what that was. I didn't know there was an awakening journey. That
Hmm.
wasn't my sphere of knowledge. I think we come to the awakening journey as a word and a process when we're in it,
Hmm.
but before that, there's no experience of it. I had no clue. I had no words. It was just my life was turned upside down. Everything was falling apart. For the first time, I had a job that I was like making so much money and I could feel the future being bright and, you know, feeling some source of a stability come to my life. And then I had the near death experience in 2020. I come back out of it knowing that I had a lot of work to do and questioning everything up until then.
Hmm.
I started questioning my own thoughts. Why do I think this way? Why is this coming up? And in that questioning, it unraveled my entire life. But I didn't know to call it an awakening. Did you know to call your process an awakening?
Not at all. Similarly, I think I personally, if I look back, I go back to that experience of losing my dad when he passed away in 2010. I think that felt but it took time, right? Years. It takes years to kind of go into into the depth. And I would go back to 2009 when my aunt passed away and I had that out of body experience. And I knew the way my dad felt at the time that he was next because
Mm.
he was the youngest after her. And within literally within a month or two, he had a diagnosis with no cure and don't know where it comes from. And within 6 months, he passed away of that. So, but inside, knowing that he's not going to last more. And it's not like, and I played around with it like, is he giving up on life? But besides that, so I felt that that was my, I think, turning point in just seeing things or even feeling things. But I would say 2015 was a major upside down event in life. And not just one, but it's just everything unraveling, falling apart. I had just started doing Reiki and intuitive holistic nutrition course and just listening, constantly listening to Dr. Wayne Dyer, Louise Hay, Esther Hicks, all these people getting like my brain was just expanding, my energy was expanding. And so something has to go, right? To create that emptiness and that space of in between which you are struggling and you don't know and nobody understands around you, and nobody around me was understanding what I'm saying or even talk about me having out of body experience, and they're looking at me like, what do you mean? Because they've never experienced that. So yeah, it was a hard feeling, but again, questioning myself, my thought, and not so that I could judge it or criticize it, but understand it. I was just curious, and we talk about curiosity a lot. And that's how we are where we are because our mind is constantly asking questions. And there were doubts, of course, but there were big periods of separation because you see everything. Everything is magnified. How you talk and how you perform in certain relationship, how you show up in certain relationship, and that dismantling of your whole world around you and people around you. And then there's no one that you can talk to about what is happening, and you don't know what is happening within you, the shifts and the changes. And there are periods of, when you're taking in all this information and expansion, but at the same time the separation, the fear is, I don't know, like, can't even imagine the amount of fear I had personally of that
Yeah,
separation from relationships.
I can relate to that separation. And specifically of the not knowing. It's
Yeah.
like a period of darkness where your next step is not known, but you still have to give that step. Everything for me came crumbling down. I didn't have external input as to what was happening to me. It was all internal. Again, with Yeshua having brought me back from that near death experience
Mm.
and going back home, I was ill for 45 days. So, in that time frame, an internal crumbling happened. Everything I thought about who I was, where I was going, how I had grown up, crumbled. And it started slowly with minute questions. Why am I not doing anything that brings me joy? Am I happy in my life? My greatest gift was bringing everything internally, but having Yeshua be the one who would mirror for me where I
Mm.
was and guide me. I wouldn't have an external understanding or words to say what was happening. I thought, I'm going crazy. I am the most unhappy I've ever been. And I don't know if I'm going to make it through. There was fear for my
Mm.
life, for myself. I was afraid of bringing it up because I didn't want to be labeled. I didn't want
Mm.
a diagnosis stamped on me. It felt very much different than just being depressed because when I had periods of depression, it just felt like a black hole that I never even questioned. I'm just going to stay in it, right? It
Mhm.
was pure darkness. This time around, it was the awakening, I would question it. So yes, I experienced the deep, lonely separation and raw exposure of all of my wounds that I had been carrying. But instead of dwelling within it, I was questioning it. And you would think that would bring a little more certainty to my footing, my decision making, but it didn't. It just let me know if it's one thing is certain is that nothing is. And
Yeah.
that right there rattled me. So
Hmm.
I didn't. It's 2020. No one's going and connecting with anybody else. I was in a relationship that was ending and that fully became undone due to the awakening process in a house with my teenage children with no one else. So we're cooped up in this waiting area. My
Hmm.
kids still going to school on their laptops, and me trying to figure out what is going on with me. Why am I not moving? Why am I feeling so much weight? And it wouldn't be until July of that year that I came across words or language. I had an Akashic Records reading that would eventually change the entirety of my life. And that was July 1st. So it was the very last day. It very much felt like a threshold. So, March through the end of July, I had all of this turmoil within me, no one to talk about it with. Who am I going to tell? Jesus came into my heart and is telling me to question everything in my life. Who is there that's going to hold that and be like, she's sane. Yep, I believe what she's saying. But that's what I was experiencing. I was receiving information that I didn't know how I was receiving. Signs, symbols, languages. I didn't know what was happening. And here I am trying to recover, and no one was around me. Later on, I would feel like this was a blessing. But in the middle of it, it was ugly and it was raw. And I felt like, I don't remember the name of the movie, but this is what comes to mind. And this is the part of this movie that breaks my heart. Castaway with Tom Hanks, and he's in the
Oh
middle
my
of the
God.
ocean, and Wilson, his ball just disappears and he's screaming with nothing left. Wilson! And I don't want to cry, but this is where this movie
Yeah.
takes me because this is how
Mm.
I felt. In the middle of my awakening, in the middle of life happening around me, I had no Wilson.
Yeah.
No Wilson and no words. It was really difficult. It was really difficult to push through and gain some sense of myself back. And it would take time.
Yeah. Wow. Such a beautiful imagery of that movie, and everything just comes together. That's exactly how it feels. You're on your own island with no one around you. You can speak to the ether and they all understand and they speak back to us, but nobody around us understands that. And it's that feeling of not being understood, not being accepted, the way we are, the way we feel, the way we think. Again, that feeling of pain and hurt. And when I started learning Reiki and this whole nutrition thing and how it shifted our whole household, like with allergies and asthma and all that. I mean, we were frequent flyers at doctor's office and literally changing everything in the house, what we use, what we consumed, what we listened to, I mean, not just food itself, but activities that would promote healthy breathing, breath work, things like that. And it's like shifted. We spend, yes, more money in getting better food and all instead of doctor's visit, medication that really eats up within you and creates more issues and more diagnosis and illnesses. And I wanted to spread this information and how Reiki had taken me to this depths and how I'm able to resolve some of my, pains that, the hurts and wounds that kept me stuck, things that people say that didn't matter anymore because it wasn't for me. I am not that. And to recognize that, I want to share it with all my loved ones and my friends who are struggling with the same thing. And I'm coming with this enthusiasm and excitement and like, look, this is what I found and I want to share this with you. And they're like, what? No, but I'm not going to forgive anyone. And I was like, no, forgive yourself. It's all about yourself. I'm serious. This is how excited I was. But they're like, people just didn't get it. And I didn't understand, like, how are you not able to get this? It's so easy to. And so then I realized that this journey is our alone. We come into this life alone, ourselves, and we go out ourselves, just alone. And so this journey of dismantling or whatever it is, it has to be carried on by ourselves. And also realizing that we're millions and trillions of people in this world, and that many paths to lead to that oneness or home. And so same thing with healing modalities, same thing with thought process, same thing. So the perspective, that many perspective, when you look at one situation and there are 10 people around it and everybody processes it differently, like the story of the elephant and the blind man. And right. And it really brought me back to when I would then start internalize everything. And like, it didn't matter if I shared this joy, this treasure chest, or this tool that I found to come back to your joy, come back to that miracle and magic of life. And so that again, that separation felt like, oh my God, yes, this journey is my alone and I need to go out myself and just me. And I was scared to the depth of my being, like, oh my God, I need to step out myself, and not just physically, but also emotionally, spiritually, everything. I have to do this alone. And boy, that depression, that feeling of there's just you in that island of yours, the universe of yours, and it kind of expanding, right? We're doing energy work, and I see myself like this huge mountain. I went on a solo trip to Peru in 2017 after that to step out. It's almost like a literal, but I had to physically kind of step out of my way and take that first step of that alone journey of mine. And the loneliness you feel to the depth, but you learn so much about yourself. It's unraveling, but at the same time, it's remembering and finding yourself. But I'm just, with this happy face because it reminds me how joyful I was. And then how your energy kind of drops, like, what? Nobody understands this. And that feels so alone. Um,
Yeah, I can see that. And I can so relate with the part of like collecting information and expanding. And I think
yeah.
that's what happened to me after this Akashic Records session.
Mm,
So I had that month periods of so much, please help me, someone, anyone. Can you
mm,
please see me, to coming to wait, there's words for this,
mm-hmm,
right? This is a process. I'm going through something. And that understanding, I'm also not going through it alone. I may be in my limited space of reality, but other people on this planet are
yeah.
going through the same process in their own time. So it's not this is a Sheila experience,
Mm-hmm,
right? It's more a collective experience, but I was just experiencing the flavor of Sheila, right?
mm-hmm,
And I started to gather of these books and get some crystals, right? Because
mm,
we go into, again, if we think about it linearly, at least for me, it was the near death experience, the knowledge that everything needs to be digested and questioned if it's coming through
mm,
my mind. And then, wait, this happens to other people? Let me
mm,
see what's out there. And the gathering of the tools and the things and the external input, right? And that era was super beautiful. I took
mm,
my middle sister along for the ride. Anything I learned, I passed down to her. I was like, nope. And then this happened, and then this happens, and then this happens. And I'm so grateful that she sat through it with me. Even if she didn't fully understand, I'm grateful that she was there. And what I appreciate about sitting to talk about this topic is that it gave me a little different perspective all these
mm,
years away from it. I was able to revisit and see who was actually there. And she
Mm.
was so there after I allowed her in what was happening. And I'm grateful that I could take her with me and to a certain point explore together. So I so understand that hunter gathering type of thing. We're getting all of these inputs, tools, all of these things, and it becomes a joyous experience. And it feels euphoric to the point where
Mhm.
you're like, who can I share this with?
Mhm.
Who is there to listen? And yet again, I didn't find myself reflected anywhere. Yes, I was going through all of these things, but what I was seeing on social media was already what the outcome of that would be, the
Mm.
polished version of that, the put together, what we think about when we think a spiritual journey or a spiritual person. So I was seeing the sort of end product, to call it something, but I wasn't seeing the struggle. And even
Yeah.
though I was in that joyful, let me buy all these things, right? And read, I was still experience periods of struggle within that and questioning, really looking for, is this still me here? Is there anything that really belongs to me? Or am I just gathering things? So I still question and I went into deep, deep questionings. And by this time, I was also hearing my guides all the time. And that didn't just show up at the beginning of 2021. I was in becoming a Akashic Records guide. So I took a course and that opened up like my community. So I felt like, oh, there's other people like me. There's other people on their journey. And that gave me a lot of language
Mm.
that I did not have, and it exposed me to a lot of things that I had thought I was making up but were actually really happening. So
Mm.
okay, I'm not crazy. This is actually real. So after that, I listened to my guides all the time, and it was like I had this understanding of spirit side, we're going to call it for the sake of order, fifth dimensional
Mm.
experience. And I was also going to these very real third dimensional pitfalls, and that I didn't find that struggle anywhere. I turned to Instagram, Facebook, because we're all online. We're in the middle of a pandemic. We're all just cocooned. And I wasn't finding me anywhere out there. So I was still going like, okay, are we still here? Or have we gone over the edge, right? And it was a beautiful, beautiful journey with so much struggle and so much external search for, is there anywhere where I am reflected?
Mm.
Can something reflect back to me that I am in fact not crazy? And then that takes you to all of the ways in which you can heal yourself in your life. And of course, wanting to share it and the inability of being able to share it. Because, and I'll speak for myself here and let you share your part of this story. I had so much coming through and my throat closed up. I wanted to shout it out, but there was so much fear about being labeled, being ostracized, being diagnosed, being misunderstood, not being received for where I was at, which was a mess, right? So even though I felt the joy of wanting to share it, the fear shut my throat fully up. Did you experience that at all?
Yes, all of it. And we work on our throat. That's why we work on our throat chakra so much, but not only just the speaking, but listening in depth and understanding things. And we sometimes doubt ourselves, like, are we analyzing too much into this, looking too much into it? But I would get sick. My throat also gets affected quite a bit. I would start coughing, get sick for like violently coughing and sick for a week or so because anything gets stuck here. And not only that, but I can relate in so many level with you in terms of, I had Akashic record reading done and I still can't pinpoint. It was, I think, end of 2016 or 2017, I'm not sure, but with the same person. Then I met you in 2021, the second time around of the Akashic record reading. I tell you that when I not only just that group of people that you don't, I mean, you just, as soon as you walk in, you know that you know them. Whether this is the first time you ever met them. And that's happened to me when I did the Reiki classes, all kinds, all the levels, the holistic nutrition thing, and people when we gathered and met, it's like we could talk about anything and everything, and it is accepted and validated and looked with awe, and really want to hear everything, like everybody's soaking up information, and myself including, like, oh, you went through that. And so you kind of learn from that, their process, and sometimes be emotional with them, cry with them. I'm a very sensitive person, and I cry along with people, and what I feel their pain. But it's about recognizing or being recognized, like you were saying, and also validation, right? We all, or acceptance. I think as human, we all want that. We want the full acceptance of who we are, what we believe in, what our thoughts are, what we do, and also being loved unconditionally without judgment and criticism. But besides that, like, I still, even though I met so many people, it's all online, right? And I am more touch feel kind of person, more in person, hands on. And I want to sit in front of you. I want to hug when we're feeling emotional. I want to jump because you see, right? That I am so disconnected as right here. Yes, I am connected with you. If you were in person, you've met me in person. It's like a different level of connection. And then when we're just on the phone talking, it's a different connection. And texting, it's like, forget it. So it just kind of becomes distant for me. And so I want people in person. But then to realize, and we've talked with people that are going through similar situation in terms of feeling lonely, feeling alone, and we tell each other, "Well, I'm here. Just pick up the phone and call me." But I don't know. I know that we all are going through similar situations. Sometimes you're going through like really healing crisis, and you're processing things and you don't want to add on to your information on there. So I think we all are kind of mindful, or we just want to process it ourselves. So we also isolate ourselves sometimes to understand what's happening, to figure out ourselves first, because we've done so much of that. So that's why then we keep people hands away, like in distance, but also asking for help is hard.
Hmm.
That is a big one, I think. And because you are already, like you said, you could not speak and you could not talk unless, and I've noticed that, unless you don't start talking about these things, people keep quiet. They don't share because, again, they think that I'm crazy. And they start conversation like that. And then when they hear you talk about things like, wait a minute, I've had that experience. Wait a minute. And then they start opening the box that they've kept shut for so long. And it's like everything comes out, right? It's like just poured out and shared. But loneliness is, and it can get into depression very easily. And I used to say that I have depressive tendencies, which all of us do, because the scale can tip anytime on that if you don't maintain it, or and then there's this huge gray line. I feel gray space, and it can go into depression, it can go into joy or happiness. So how far and how long are you lingering in that gray line, in that in between space? And I remember, for me, I'm constantly, when I get messages and I'm told to do so, not told, so to speak. We, of course, we have the choice, but then nothing moves. So I'm in that paralysis state. And so I'm like, maybe I'm on the sofa watching something, but I'm not really watching something. It's like internally, there's so much processing going on. But to a person that is looking at me, family members, they think like, what are you doing? You're doing nothing. You're just laying around. And sometimes are like that. You only barely get through. Like, I had to pick up and drop off kids and cook and do bare minimal household things. And that's how it was. It was hard to get up because it's a lot of dense energy that you are trying to process yourself. And so that community is not there to support, to make you understand what's going on, what you're going through, because there's so many people that have gone through similar things and they can guide you through it.
Yeah, it's that in between space, that lingering in between the depths of despair and the euphoria moments, right? The joy,
Hmm.
right? And the muddy part.
Hmm.
Well, who's watching me now? No one's here with me. You're
Yeah.
still going through the internal crumbling of ideas, perceptions. For me, I questioned everything. My entire life became something to question, and not just
Hmm.
my immediate, so not just my life and family roles and all of those things, but it went to the macrocosm, right? Like the
Hmm.
culture, the experiences, the what's expected, all of that happens in that awakening process at a specific time. And for some people, it's all together at once. And for some
Hmm.
people, it's like delayed, pause, delayed. We're still here, delay. Also, you have those idle moments of you're just in the in between space, and that's murky, right?
Hmm.
And that's what I wasn't seeing online. I wasn't
Hmm.
seeing, where's your murky? Why am I only getting your polished version? Didn't you have questions? I was and still to this day will always be super grateful for our shared container and the
Hmm.
classes we took together and the community there, to the friendships that developed from that space, because not only did I find that validation and support
Hmm.
and real I,
Hmm.
but I also for the first time found peace of mind that I in fact have proof now that I'm not
Yeah.
crazy. So I value and love the spaces that we've walked through together because of that, because it brought understanding and validation and security and a sense of calm. And then I yet in those spaces held back because I was dealing with a lot of throat healing
Hmm.
that needed to happen, but I was also holding back because there were some experiences I was having that were not of that space, that were like, okay, we hear you, but are you really are you really having these things happen? So I held back some of what was going on because it wasn't reflected in that space. And the two can be true. I can have community and be isolated in the same
Hmm.
community, right? Because yes, I was naming things and finding similar storylines, right? We were going through things that were very, yes, I've been there, done that. This is what it is, We're filling each other in the gaps of certain things, but there were things that for me were not being named, and I was in fear of naming.
Hmm.
There was no way I was going to come into this spaces and say, I'm hearing beings speaking other languages that are not of this planet. Why I want to name this here is
Hmm.
because the awakening journey is, yes, there's a lot of commonality, but there's also a lot that goes on for each individual person that is not named. And just as I had Yeshua come into my heart, I had a whole other understanding of a galactic experience of beings that no one had told me about come into my life, and it rattled me again. It continued to create earthquakes for me so I could continue to awaken in those spaces.
Hmm.
It wasn't like a once and done. A lot of people say, oh, I went through my awakening journey in 2020. Well, me right here, yes, I went through it in 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023. I'm still processing that. For me, it's not a process that ends, it's one that you learn to navigate and learn to integrate as you go. It doesn't fully fit. It's not a puzzle that you all of a sudden have all the pieces and can piece back together and you feel whole. Mind you, I do find that my life right now is very settled. It's a lot easier than it was to navigate tight spaces. You now hear me here speaking, so obviously my throat feels very healed, right? So a lot has happened and I'm feeling settled, but I still have those moments in time that crumble me down to my knees. What shifted is that it doesn't hold me there. I can experience the experience of my body falling apart and not knowing what's next, but do not fall apart with it. Do
Mm.
you know there's a difference? I've learned that yes, everything internal and external can crumble because, girl, you know, my life fell completely apart. I walked away from people, places, things. I'm in a whole new continent
Yeah.
since you and I met. So everything has shifted. That's what the awakening journey does for you. What the separation does for you is to bring awareness to who are you. It pieces you back together. It will crumble you in order to show you how to deal with things better moving forward. It completely pulls you into a space of let everything fall apart because what remains is really who you are. And once you understand that, it doesn't matter how many cycles of the awakening you go through, every single time, the length of time you spend in a particular frequency or state that is considered low is a lot shorter. At least for me, it has been. I went through years and years of sad, depressive feelings. And now it's like I wake up, I identify I'm depressed. I will stay there because I will feel my feelings. That is my saving grace. And the next day, I'm feeling like, okay, I'm feeling better. I'm more steady. It's not like textbook, it doesn't happen like that all the time. But if you take time to appreciate what the separation and the in between and the big moments of euphoria bring to you, is all awareness. And if
Mhm.
you track when I'm in the in between, who am I? What do I have? What is my certainty? When I am in the crumbly, who am I? What do I have? What is my certainty?
Yeah.
Because all of it is like that. When you're in your joy, who am I? What do I have? What is my certainty? You can walk through everything. And that's been my experience. It was absolutely gut wrenching, terrifyingly lonely. But gosh, it brought so much and gave me back so much. And I'm super grateful. It's a little pill that you take that you can never go back to who you were before. It doesn't matter. I don't want to go back to who I was before.
I agree on that one. Oh my God. And I feel that it takes me a while. It takes me a while to move to the next stage. I always say that, I'm always having internal tantrums. Like I'm on the floor and flailing my hands and feet and everything. Like I'm having a tantrum I'm showing to the people up there. And we joke like, no, I'm not moving from this space. Don't show me any more things. I don't want to see the reality. I want to stay in this illusion. But no, I say that, but I've stayed. I think that it's hard for me to move, to let go. I think that's what it is, right? Holding on tightly. Think that we are in control. And then what happens is that string, that very thin, like it was a rope, and all of a sudden it's that thin string that's hanging. If you're that cliffhanger, you're holding onto the rope and from the mountain and somebody's trying to pull you, but there is just this string and all the other fibers are cut.
Bare
And
thread.
right, oh exactly, thank you. And all of a sudden it's like breaks and it sends you down the valley or throws you down, right? And or a velcro just stripped out like that from you. That feeling is so unpleasant. Worse than if you let go or they move you because you're not moving. Yeah, you want to stay in that space? Let me move you. And it's like kick on your butt to move you forward. So sometimes that feels like that. But for me, it is getting easier. And I felt that I was on a steady ground now that I've taken 3 years of hibernation and I'm just coming out. I'm just showing up in the world again. I had closed up everything, my throat and all my chakras. And I just didn't want to be seen and heard. I just wanted to take a break from everything. Don't show me anything. I'm putting a blinder on my eyes, a noise canceling on my ears. But you can't do anything with your mind, right? Those thoughts keep coming and their messages keep coming. So, I mean, I say all that, but you're processing so many things in depth with that. But I felt like things are going great. And that's when something hits you, right? And stumbles you. Is it easy to process? Much better than when we started. And as we're recording all these things, all these episodes we've talked about, and Sheila and I were talking about, like, is universe starting to show me what to talk about? I don't want to see it. I've already experienced all that I need to experience, right? But they're like, no, this one more kick to see how you move out of there. And I look at it as a test or a level, right? Like I see those Mario Brother games, right? You go on one level, you're jumping, sometimes you fall down, then you try again, and then you go on the next level and next level. So in that mind of curiosity, I see it as a play of life, play of, we see this is all illusion, this is all a dream, and so let's play. I'm sitting and crying and having a tantrum, and I don't want to move. No, don't move me, I'm not ready yet. So but when I'm ready, I'm ready, and I fly off.
What would you say to someone that is right now in that beginning part of the journey where there might be no language, there might be no community, there might be just you? What would you say to someone in that place right now?
I'm trying to go to the beginning of it, and I think it's a journey, right? Step by step, and like you said, it's not going to end. Awakening keeps happening. What we're talking about right now, our viewpoints can change and shift depending on how our journey will move forward. So I think at this stage, if I'm just getting in and I feel that I'm alone, reach out. And there are so many resources, but then there is abundance of resources, right? When you Google, when you try to look for people, how do you find the right person that you can just connect? And it's more so with your heart. You can feel the energy of who you can connect. And it could be for very short time. And that's okay. Because in my experience, I have people, friends, and then I move on to the next, and that is okay. But sit with it, be in that space, feel everything you're feeling, except like when you're in that confusion, am I going crazy? Did I hear that? Did I see that? Am I, really seeing beyond what I'm hearing or seeing and hearing without beyond the hearing, and accept that yourself. Don't judge it, don't doubt it, and find a community. Go out and take classes, go out and do a 1 hour of meditation with sound meditation, whatever. There's so much out there now than when we started, I think. And there are so many expos that you can go to and find people around. Yeah. And reach out. I think reach out. What would you say?
What you're going through is real, is raw, it is lonely, and that is where the gift is. In that lonely, separated time, I would say be curious inside of it. Go through the process, and it's temporary. It's not forever. The more you go through it, the better you become navigating it. Absolutely reach out to others. You find some semblance of recognition within. Listen to others' stories. Listen not so much to consume, but to understand, to help you get language, to help you navigate the spaces where there will feel like no one and nothing out there can help you. Listen to discern. Does this resonate with me? Am I feeling this way because it's mine, or am I putting too much emphasis on somebody else's journey? And that's where the separation is the gift. It has a purpose to teach you how to learn what is true for you so that you can use that knowledge to move forward. So, in that separation, take the time to listen to yourself, to your own guidance, to your own wise being who is reaching out from the beyond to try to guide you. It's not forever, it's temporary, and it will bring you the biggest gift of your entire life.
I totally agree. And I think in terms of questions, I would say Don't ask why me, but ask yourself, what is the lesson I need to learn from this? Or what is it that it's teaching me? What is it that's moving me? Or how is it affecting me?
This was a very tender episode. I'm grateful that we went there and that we exposed a little more than maybe we were comfortable with. I know I did. You on the other side, you're not alone. And if you felt anything of this resonated and want to get in touch with us, you can find us. And this is one of the reasons why we're here sitting all the time talking about the things we didn't see reflected for us in our journey, so that if there's anyone out there who feels a connection and who is wondering, questioning, struggling, thinking that this is too much, you're not alone. If there's one thing to sit with from today, the loneliness of awakening is real, it's raw, and it has a purpose. It teaches you what is true for you so you can use that knowledge to move forward. Don't ask, why me? Ask, what is this teaching me? What is it showing me? If you're in it right now, it's not forever. It's temporary, and it will bring you the biggest gift of your entire life. You are not alone. You just haven't found your words yet. Thank you for being here with us. If this episode moves something within you, please share it with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe wherever you're listening and leave a review. It helps more people find this space. Find us on all your favorite social media platforms. And remember, you already are what you're looking for. Trust your insight, act with purpose, and stay in your knowing. Everything I held it was always there, always there, always there.